this would be a great educational video to hit on right now, just due to the market conditions and the emails I've been getting. I would say, roughly the last 2.5 weeks, there's been a lot of correlation with the emails I've been getting, and it makes sense. Something that you always hear me say is you have to know the pros and cons to your system. And for those who trade the break and retest, such as myself, the cons to our system is channels and consolidations. So, I know we had, right, this is very common with new traders. We had a very hot November, and they take that into December and think that it's going to be the same thing. And honestly, the last 3 weeks of December, we have been stuck in a channel. We've been stuck in a range. So, a lot of traders have been dealing with, death by 1,000 cuts, which is you're taking your shots, they're setting up, but you're losing your trades due to lack of follow through and all that. And you got to understand that's expected if the overall market is stuck in a consolidation period, if the overall market is stuck in a channel. And I've been getting emails regarding, lack of confidence. Is it them? Is it their system? So I figured, hey, this would be a really good time to, hit on this video and explain why confidence comes from our rules, not with wins. I don't feel confident after a winning trade. You shouldn't. That's an emotional based decision. That's an emotional based feeling. So I really wanted to hit on this so you can, apply it yourself and understand the difference between real confidence and fake confidence. So let's hit on the problem with win based confidence. So most traders only feel confidence after green days. This means they're not having a long-term mindset. They're not thinking about their next 100 trades, and they have no accurate data to prove that they have an edge in the market. This is where, the imaginary trap begins, because you feel confident after you're on a 2-day win streak, a 3-day win streak. And at that point, you're happy about the outcome of a trade. You're not process focused. You're just happy that, hey, I got by today. Today's a good day. You're not thinking about your next 100 trades. You're not thinking about your performance at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, and at the end of the year. You always have to have a long-term mindset in this game. And if you have accurate data to prove that you have an edge in the market, you don't need winning days to have confidence. You do not need winning days to have confidence. So, right, after going on a green streak, there is typically destruction after that first loss. I see it all the time. That first loss leads to fear, it leads to revenge, and it leads to hesitation and second guessing. Can't tell you how many traders go on a little 3-day win streak, a 4-day win streak for the first time, and then after their first loss in a row, 2 losses in a row, now they're like, okay, is it me? Is it my system? Is it my edge? What am I doing wrong? That's what that first loss leads to. You've heard me say this before. It worries me more when a trader goes on, especially a beginner trader, goes on a winning streak. I see it all the time. Because after that first loss, you're so focused on keeping the calendar green, you go on tilt and you demolish, 4 days of trades, 5 days of trades in one single day. So these are emotional based confidence skills, right? Not skill based confidence. Very big difference. Something you always hear me say is I trust my edge, I trust my system, I trust myself. I know every loss I take puts me one trade closer to a win. I am process focused, not outcome focused. And my job is to take my setup every single time it occurs. It's not to be correct or incorrect. So, me, I know for a fact in my system, I win more than I lose. That's a factual statement. I have data to prove that. In the month of November, I only have 3 red days. And as of now, in the month of December, I only have 2 red days. Right? I trust my edge, I trust my system, I trust myself. I know that, hey, if I just took a loss, I smile because that puts me one step closer to a win. Every single trade that I take, I feel confident. Not because of the outcome of that trade, not because of yesterday's outcome of the trade, but because I know my system. I know my system is going to put me one step closer to a win, even after I have a loss. I understand that. I am process focused. I'm always thinking about my next 100 trades. I'm always thinking about the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year. Right? I don't care about the end of the day. Right? Your performance as a trader can't be judged on the outcome of a trade. It makes no sense, right? It's random. How can I judge your performance based on complete randomness? But I can judge your performance if I look at your chart and say, well, your position size is not the same. You're not following your rules. Your trading is all over the place. You're not following your system this day you did, right? I'm process focused, not outcome focused. And a lot of traders do this, but they don't even realize it. You should not be trying to win the day. You shouldn't even be trying to focus on winning a trade. That's not our job. Our job is to take our setups every single time they occur. If you do that, I promise you, you will you will get paid, right? The market will pay you more than you will pay it. Something that Mark Douglas says. He says, hey, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal as a trader is to trade without fear. Really think about that. You want to be in the zone. Or the ultimate goal as a trader is to trade without fear, to trade without reservation and hesitation. It's not our job to be correct or incorrect. So if your confidence disappears after one red trade, you were never confident in the first place. You were just happy. You were just happy to win the day. You were happy to be on a winning streak, and you were happy to get by saying, oof, okay, I got through today. Let's try and get through tomorrow. So this is what real confidence looks like, and I really want to hit on this. So I'll hit on my chart here very quick, just for people who are probably new to the channel. If you've been with me, you know I'm very transparent. I'm very straightforward. So this chart that you're looking at here, this is my month of November. Every single trade that you see here is all uploaded on my live trading sessions. Every trade that you see here, I have broken down individually in my weekly recap section, so you can go look at that. And I've already hit on all these trades. For my big win here this was an AMD trade, which I broke down in a separate video, has its own individual video. You can go look at that as well in the trade recaps. I didn't scale up on this day. This was my same position sizing as all my other trades. Now, What do you notice about my chart? It shows consistent, it shows patience, and it shows discipline. My average trade a day is one trade. I've only had 2 days where I had two trades in a day, right? I went on a 9-day winning streak, which is followed up by a 3-day losing streak. And we're going to hit on this. We're actually going to come back to the slide at the end of the video. And then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cash days. I'm very patient. I let my trades come to me. Of course, the market was closed on Thanksgiving. So, right, cash days, one trade a day, position size stays the same, proper risk management, wins are bigger than my losses, the list goes on. So I really wanted to hit on this, right, to show you, hey, I'm practicing what I'm preaching, right, which is trust in my process. Trust in your process no matter what. If you're on a losing streak, trust your process. If you're on a winning streak, trust your process. Cash days, trust your process. That's what you see here, right? I'm on a winning streak. I don't care about the winning streak because it's all a random outcome. But I know my system. Every trade that I take is an A+ shot. I've already hit on this. I don't believe in scaling up because now it's an A+ shot. That doesn't make sense to me. Every shot that I take is an A+ shot. I win more than I lose, right? Because I'm very selective with my trades. I'm only taking the highest probability shots, right? Cash days, trust your process. You have to be process focused, not outcome focused. I'm rinse and repeating every single day. Rinse and repeating every single day. I am focused on my process, not the outcome. Why would I dwell on something that I cannot control? Trusting your process will come when you are being tested by the market. And this is a great example, right? It's easy to trust your process. It's easy to have faith in your system and in yourself when you're winning, right? Life's great when you're winning. Most of us, right? We play sports. As they say, winning hides a lot of crap. So it's easy to trust everything and feel confidence when you're winning. But trusting your process will come when you are being tested by the market. When you are on a losing streak, you have to stay focused and trust the process. Easier said than done. Our job is to execute. We don't know the outcome of the trade, so why focus on it? Knowing you followed your rules leads to confidence after a win or a loss. It's not the win itself, right? When you follow your rules, you're able to look at that trade and say, okay, that was a good loss. It just means the probabilities weren't in my favor. That was a really good loss. I would 100% take that trade again. Something you always hear me say. My goal as a trader is every trade that I look at, even my winning trades, because as we know, everything's easy to say in hindsight. I want to look at that trade when it's all said and done and say, you know what? I would 100% take that trade again, right? So this helps you think in probability. Losing a trade, if you did everything correctly, just shows you that the odds weren't in your favor and that was a good loss. This is what real confidence looks like in trading. Having faith, having confidence, trusting our process, our system. That's real confidence. It's not winning. It's not losing, right? That confidence should not come from the outcome of a trade because if that, you're just going to be on an emotional roller coaster 24/7. So the reason I want to hit on this is not only does, this month of November shows discipline, what it shows is I know how this affects most traders, right? You're going to beginner traders. You go on a 9-day winning streak, followed up by a 3-day losing streak. And the context matters here because I went on a 3-day losing streak going into the weekend. So, beginner traders, they're going to dwell on this the entire weekend. You know what I did this weekend? I went to the beach. Literally, I live in Los Angeles. I don't have winter. So I went to the beach this weekend. I went out. I had fun. Because why? I trust my process. I trust my edge. I trust myself. I'm not going into the weekend like, dude, I just went on a 9-day winning streak. Now it's a 3-day losing streak. What did I do wrong? Is it me? Am I doing anything wrong? Right? So that shows discipline. And then not only that, look at coming into the following week. Does it look like I was eager to make my money back? No, I was very patient. I had 2 cash days in a row, Monday and Tuesday. I was able to show up and do absolutely nothing. I didn't do anything for those first 2 days. Why? Because there wasn't a high probability shot in my system. I got my A+ shot on the 26th. I took my trade, and this one win wiped out 1 week of losses. One trade wiped out 5 days. Hope that makes sense. So this is what real trading confidence looks like. Losing streak, trust the process. Winning streak, trust the process. You cannot have confidence based on wins or losses. I promise you that's going to lead to a road of destruction. So rules. I really want to hit on this, and this is something that I want you to do. This is the work that most traders don't want to do. And like I've always said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So no matter what system you trade, every edge or system has rules. Every single one. So I want you to go and look at all your trades, and you can go as far back as you want. You can do 1 month, you can do 2 weeks, you can do 3 weeks. The choice is yours. And I want you to look at your rules, and I want you to look at your losing trades, and I want you to see if there's a correlation. That right there, right? If you have losses that you've taken because you didn't follow your rules, that's how much money you could have still had in your bank account. But because you didn't follow your rules, you lost that money. You gave it away. I want you to look at that, and you'll see how many losses could have actually been avoided. And then I want you to look at your winning trades. And if you won some trades without following your rules, you're not thinking about your next 100 trades because that's going to lead to bad habits. And we get comfortable, right, with the bad habits even when we are making money. There's no longevity in that. So I want you to look at your rules. I want you to look if they correlate with your individual trades. That's something very important. So what does rules do? What do our rules do? We got to understand that. I've been in the game for 6 years now. I have rules that I follow and that I look at every single day. So first, what do our rules remove? It removes guessing. You should not be guessing in the market. There's no guess. If you have an edge in the market, you have data that proves that. There should be no guessing. It removes overthinking. Like I said, Mark Douglas said, the ultimate goal as a trader is to trade without fear, to trade without reservation and hesitation. You guys hear me say all the time in my live trading sessions, hey, if this sets up, I'm taking my shot. I have to take my shot. It's not my job to be right or wrong. You hear me say in my live trading sessions, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's not my job to know. You hear me say in my live trading sessions, hey, I'm just going to let the probabilities play out. I don't control the outcome of a trade. My job is to take my step. You hear me say these all the time. So it removes overthinking. And most importantly, and this is very important, what rules remove is emotional decision making. That is very important, right? My rules are my protection. These are put in place for me to be successful. Our rules help us avoid emotions taking control. Why am I successful in the market? Because I follow my rules. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. When I follow my rules, I've already won. The outcome is just math. And we're going to hit on this. This is going to make a lot more sense as I move on. But remember this, when I follow my rules, and this goes for you too, when you follow your rules, you've already won. The outcome is just math, right? After 100 trades, that's no longer random. After 100 trades of accurately taken 100 trades, keyword there, accurately taking 100 trades in your system, now that is accurate data. That is math, right? There's no longer randomness after 100 trades. So what does rules create? Consistency, repetition, trust in your edge and in yourself. This is where real confidence comes from our rules, our system, right? I am confident with every trade that I take because of my rules. This leads to me being consistent, right? Like I said, I know my edge in the market, I win more than I lose. That's a factual statement because one, I sit on my hands. I don't trade channels. I don't force setups. If the market or an individual name is stuck in a range, I can sit on my hands for 4 days and not take that trade, right? Less is more. The month of November, I had 3 red days. As of now, like I said, the month of December, I only have 2 red days. I win more than I lose. That's not an opinionated statement. That's a factual statement because I have confidence in my edge and in my system. But why do I have such a high win percentage? Which, as I always say, win percentages don't matter. But why do I know that I win more than I lose? Because of my rules. I'm confident in that. I'm confident in my system. I trade it correctly. My rules allow me to have trust in my edge over time. Because when I follow them, my proof over time, you will have proof over a course of 100 trades. Over time, my proof is more green days than red days. And I rinse and repeat every single day. That is very important. So wins are temporary, rules are permanent. Say that one more time. Wins are temporary, rules are permanent. Wins come and go. The outcome of every single trade that we take is random. So we cannot focus on winning or losing. It's a waste of time. I hope that doesn't sound like a foreign language to a beginner trader. Because if you're hearing me talk, you say, Kel, what do you mean we can't focus on winning or losing? Aren't we trading to make money? Are we trading to win? I'm going to say it again, and I've said this in the past. If I knew the outcome of every trade that I took, wouldn't I be the richest guy in the world? Right? I would just scale up. I would just full port every single trade that I take. If I knew that the outcome of every single trade that I took was going to be a 100% winning trade, why am I not the richest guy in the world? Right? That goes for everyone. So why focus on something that's random? It's a waste of time. Process focus, not outcome focus. Our wins will naturally come once we stick to our rules, follow them, and remain disciplined. See where I'm going with this? How following our rules, having trust in our edge, having trust in our system, that gives me real confidence. When I'm on a losing streak, like I just showed you, my 3 day losing streak, I didn't go on tilt. I had confidence, right? My confidence can't be based on green days. It can't. I don't care about that. My confidence comes from my rules, right? Rules equals confidence in every trade. We do not want to trade with fear. I've been that trader before, right? I know we've all been there. You've been on a losing streak, right? Or you can't get it figured out. And it's like, man, you see the setting up, you see your play setting up, and your heart rate is through the roof. Your pupils are dilated. You're looking like a deer in the headlights, and you're thinking, should I buy? Should I buy? Should I not? What do I do? What do I do? I've been there. I've been there. But rules is what gives us confidence in every single trade that we take. Every time I hit buy, I feel like I won the trade because I trust my edge and my system that much. I feel like I can't miss, right? That's what my rules do. That's not based off, oh, I won the day. I won for 9 days in a row. I won 6 days in a row. That's not based off that. That's based on my rules. Rules stays the same. This is how we make our money, following our rules daily. Wins come and go. They're temporary. I just showed you a 3 day losing streak, right? They come and go. The conditions of the market does not matter if we are sticking to our rules. This is so big, especially with the market conditions right now and people messaging me on the lack of confidence and the lack of trust in themselves, the lack of trust in the break and retest. I'll say this one more time. The conditions of the market does not matter if we are sticking to our rules. What's my rule? Channels and consolidations or low probability environments, I don't trade that. So I'm still confident even when the market is stuck in a range, stuck in a channel, because I'm sticking to my rules. I'm not taking trades. I'm preserving mental capital and I'm preserving actual capital. Not trading is still trading. Not trading is still proper risk management. Something that you hear me say is one of the hardest things for beginner traders to do is show up and do absolutely nothing, right? So go look at your losing trades and count how many of those were losers because you broke a rule. Now think about how much money you've lost due to not following those rules. See what I mean there? So the rules will always stay the same no matter what's going on. Rules stay the same. It replaces random emotional decisions with a structured and logical framework over a course of 100 trades. It's no longer random. It's math. This is big. This is very big. And this is why, I say don't put a time frame on when to become a successful trader. You can't do that. If you put a time frame on it, you're just pushing it back further and further. Right? Having an edge in the market means that you have the probabilities in your favor over a period of time. So like I said, over a course of 100 trades, that's no longer random. That's math, right? That's an edge in the market. So that's what I mean when I say, hey, every loss that I take puts me one step closer to a win. This is where my confidence comes from, where I feel like, man, I can't miss. That's how you should feel every time you take a trade. You should not take a trade and be like, oh man, I have no idea. You should not take a trade and be scared. You should not take a trade and be nervous. Every trade that you take, you should be 100% confident. But what gives us confidence is not the emotion itself, it's our edge in the market, right? It's following our rules, doing the same thing. And we see the proof of that. We see what happens when we follow our rules. We see what happens when we follow our edge. That's real confidence. We see it, right? Rules remove ego and fear, allowing you to stick to what's proven. Proven, keyword here. Following our rules, we already know the outcome majority of the time when we follow our rules and we follow our system. Over a period of time, we know the outcome. Like I just said, after 100 trades, that's no longer random. Over a course of 100 trades, it's no longer random. It's math, right? Most importantly, following our rules, it creates structure. Rules turns randomness into a system. That is having a proven edge in the market. This is where your confidence should come from, right? You should feel like every single time you take a trade, you don't miss. That's how you should feel. The market doesn't care how confident you feel. It only pays discipline and execution, right? So if you're that trader right now who's having, you're on a losing streak and you don't have any confidence and you're not trusting yourself, you're not trusting your system, get out of your own head, right? You got to understand that, because where you're going wrong is you're having confidence based on winning the day. That's just an emotional roller coaster that's just going to lead to destruction. Do you really want to live, your life like that? Do you want a winning day to dictate your day? Do you want a losing day to dictate your day? Are you going to be mad at the world because now you're on a 3-day losing streak? You see what I mean there? That's what I'm really trying to explain to those, right? And then this one I really want to hit on. We're going to go back to my PowerPoint slide of my 3-day losing streak. This all correlates. So how to build real confidence. Because I want to give you, right, I'm teaching you these things, but I got to tell you how and the why. How to build real confidence. Not I won today and now I'm confident. How to build real confidence. So number one, trade in one setup only. I can't stress that enough. There's so many traders who come in and they're trying to learn how to trade and they just have so much going on. Trade in one setup only. Life is what you make it. Trading is what you make it. This makes trading easier because when you come into the market, you're only looking for one thing, which is your setup. And then you rinse and repeat, and you do that the next day, and you do that the next day, and you do that the next day. You are putting your focus on high probability plays, quality over quantity, right? Take the best, leave the rest. Every shot needs to be an A plus setup. This is something that I do in my own personal trading. There's no quick base hit. There's no C plus. Every single trade that I take in my system and how I trade is an A plus shot, right? If it's not an A plus shot, why are you taking the trade? Because if you lost that trade, you already know why you lost. You didn't take an A plus setup, which means you didn't take a high probability setup. All of these leads to less is more, something that you always hear me preach. Less is more. Life is what you make it. Trading is what you make it. Whether you know it or not, the choice is yours, right? Use fixed position sizing, right? Step one, trade in only one setup. Number two, use fixed position sizing. Man, this helps with two main things: keeping your wins and your losses the same. Yes, your loss is the same. You want your losses to be the same. I can't stress that enough. You're making it very hard for yourself to be consistently profitable if your position sizing is not the same. The mental side of a losing streak, right? The mental side of a losing streak. This is number two. It's hard to stay focused, right, on a losing streak when losses fluctuate. If your average position size, and your loss comes out to $20, your losses need to be anywhere between $20 to $25. You can't have, all right, today I lost $20. Damn, this day I lost $80. This day I lost $60, and then today I lost $10. That your position size and staying the same, you really understand the importance of that when you go on a losing streak. That's the main thing. You understand the importance of keeping your position size in the same when you're on a losing streak. That is so important, right? You just saw that with my losing streak. And the reason for that being is you saw how that one win wiped out 1 week of losses. That's because my position sizing was the same. What if I scaled up and then I lost big? So that way, when I do get a win, it's not bigger than my loss. See what I mean there? So you want to see your equity curve stay a curve, not look like mountains. I'm gonna say that one more time. You want your equity curve to look like a curve, not look like mountains. That's very important. The main way to ensure this is to keep your sizing the same. right? Even if you're on a winning streak, but your position size is all over the same, when you lose, you're not going to have a slight pullback. You're going to have a spike to the downside. So keeping the size the same makes sure that when you win, it will wipe away those losing days. Limit trades per day, right? This is how we're building real confidence in our trading. This is how we have trust in our system and our edge in ourselves. Limit trades per day. Less is more. I just showed you my chart, right? You would never see more. You would never see 3 days. I'm sorry, three trades in a day on my chart. You would never see that. Not ever. So less is more. The most you'll ever see is two trades in a day for me. That's the most you'll ever see. 9 times out of 10, 1 trade a day. That's my average. Less is more. The less trades you take, the more money you make. The less trades you take, the more money you make. This helps when you're on a losing streak. I'm gonna give you an example on this because this is something I went through early in my career, right? If you take 3 losses in a day, now you're in a hole. Now you're in a hole. So now that one win, it's going to be hard for that one win that you took on a high probability setup to wipe out those losses. But if you stick to your 1 trade a day and you go on a 3 day losing streak, like I just showed you myself on my chart, when you stick to 1 trade a day, that one win can wipe out those entire 3 days of losses. Because when you win big. When you're on the right side of the fence and that trade works in your favor, it's going to wipe out those losses. Now, what if I went on a 3 day losing streak and each day, right, I was taking 3 trades? Now I'm in drawdown. Now I'm in a hole. So even when I do win big with my same position sizing, it's not going to wipe out my losses. But when I'm on a losing streak, guess what? What am I thinking? About my next 100 trades. I'm thinking about, okay, I just lost today. I'm on a 3 day losing streak. Well, I could try and make my money back today, or I can understand that, hey, this is my edge in the market. If I think about my next 100 trades and I stick to my 1 trade a day, when I win, it's going to wipe out these losses. Judge your execution, not your P&L. This is building real confidence. We can't judge our P&L because it's a random outcome. This will help knowing the difference between a good loss and a bad loss. Don't you feel a little bit better? Because I know I do, right? When I take a trade and it was a good loss, I'm like, all right, it wasn't me. I know I didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't me. Versus, man, this could have been avoided. Why did I not just follow my rule? This loss could have been avoided. I just took the biggest loss of the month and it could have been avoided, right? This will help you know the difference between a good loss or a bad loss. You cannot put focus on a random outcome. It makes no sense. Winning or losing does not make you a good trader. Following your rules is what makes you a good trader. That's a fact. All of these things leads to having confidence every time you sit down in front of the charts. For me, right, whenever I sit down in front of the charts, whenever I take a trade, in my mind, I've already won the day. I know it's going to be a green day because that's how much faith and trust I have in my edge and my system, and that's what it's proven to me. I'm going to win 9 times out of 10. I know that. And guess what? When I do lose, I don't take it personal because I say, okay, today I lost, but I know now I'm due for a win because one loss always puts me 1 trade closer to a win. So this is Mark Douglas. If you don't know, I know a lot of people who are new to trading. You may have heard of Mark Douglas. I highly recommend reading his book. It's called Trading in the Zone. Before you read that book, let me be the one to tell you, it's not going to make you become a profitable trader. But the goal of that book is to teach you how to think about trading, how to perceive the stock market. And in my last video, I picked up my mouse and I said, all I do is hit buy market and sell market. What is physically hard about trading? Nothing. What makes trading hard is this. We are the ones that makes it hard, but it's how we perceive the information. And that's all learned from Mark Douglas, right? The fear that we have, the FOMO we have, the hesitation that we have, that's not the market, that's us. But it's because how we're perceiving that information from the market. So this is what makes trading hard. Click, that's not hard at all. Trading is not physically hard. So Mark Douglas is someone that I study religiously. I've literally read his book like 10 times. I'm not even being dramatic. So I highly recommend reading that. But something that he says, and I wanted to give you this quote, 2 quotes. He says, market analysis will not solve the problems created by a lack of discipline and confidence. Market analysis will not solve the problems created by a lack of discipline and confidence. Now, we're going to go back to my slide where I showed you my personal trading. Because this, another quote by Mark Douglas, man, like I said, I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm never going to tell you to do anything I wouldn't do. He says, rarely will the typical trader stay with his system beyond 2 or 3 losses in a row. And taking 2 to 3 losses in a row is a very common occurrence for most trading systems. That's his words. Here's my 3 losses in a row. That is a very common occurrence. I understand that. See what I mean there? I went on 3 losses in a row and I stayed on course. I trusted my system. I didn't say, okay, it's time for a new system. Maybe it's my rules. Maybe I should do something different. I understood, hey, it's probabilities. They're not in my favor right now. I'm going to stay on course. He tells us, rarely will the typical trader stay with his system beyond. This is very common. This is why I said, hey, only 1% makes it in trading. Because the typical trader, after they go to 2 to 3 losses in a row, it's not common for them to stay on track. They're looking for a new system. They're looking for a new edge. They're looking for the golden strategy. So rarely will the typical trader stay with his system beyond 2 or 3 losses in a row. And taking 2 or 3 losses in a row is very common. It's a very common occurrence for most trading systems. And this is coming from Mark Douglas himself. So I hope this video helps. I hope you guys were able to learn something. I really want to hit on this because no one really speaks on having confidence and conviction in the market, and you have to have confidence. Something that Henry Ford has said is, hey, if you believe you can, you will, and if you believe you can't, you won't. But either way, you are correct. Anything you do in life doesn't matter. You should have confidence with doing it, right? What's the point of doing something if you don't believe that you can? Do you know what I mean? And right now, I know a lot of people are struggling, the month of December because we started the month off, technically speaking, as of right now, today is, the 21st of December. Technically speaking, the market is still, SPY and Qs are still stuck in a channel. So we started this month off just in a very tight channel. The second week of December, we had FOMC, so it was a very slow week leading up to that. I mean, a lot of traders are dealing with death by 1,000 cuts, right? They came out of November thinking December was going to be just as hot, and it wasn't. And I've been getting emails on like, dude, my confidence is shot. Am I doing something wrong? Can you review my trades? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh, well, you're just not following your system. And then the emotions that you have right now, it's not based on being system focused. It's based on the outcome of a trade. Your confidence should not be based on the outcome of a trade. I want to leave you with that. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys are able to learn from this. Keep this thing going, right? Trading forces you to look in the mirror. Trading forces you to stay disciplined, right? It's a battle with yourself every day. And in my last video, I said what makes trading hard is we are fighting the things that makes us human, and that's our emotions. So I appreciate guys the love, support, and let's keep this thing going. We got to crawl before we walk, right? Right now, the videos that I'm giving you, I know what I'm doing, right? I'm giving you the things that you actually need. We're going to get to the charts, right? We're going to have a field trip outside of the classroom, and we're going to get to the charts. But I want to give you the tools that you actually need, that you need to know first before you just dive into the charts. So once again, right, I appreciate the love, support, and I will see you guys on the next one.